So for our roundtable tonight, we wanted to do a little bit different things, and we'll see how well it works. I very much appreciate help from our council reps here, and especially Cadence and Isaac, if they show up, or they've got some good things to introduce, or at least to remind us of. And I've got, if you can see this uh, agenda up at the top, here's a quote from that I got from Brian Schul. He was an SR-71 driver back in his heyday, and I think that's an appropriate thought to keep in mind working with these young people about, I don't believe miracles, I count on them. And isn't it great when we can see miracles in the lives of these young folks that we help make a difference in? So that's helping us to do a better job at that is the what sees below that. And so we'll go ahead with Jen and have her do an invocation, and then I will lead us in some oaths and laws.
Okay, everybody, prepare yourselves in the manner of which you are accustomed. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the opportunity to be together for a roundtable, the opportunity to learn from each other. Father, we ask you to please be with those who are not with us, that you may look over them and keep them safe. We ask you to help us be inspired tonight, that we may go forward and help the youth in our respective organizations. We say these things, Lord, in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jen. All right. If you would, since I'm the head cat herder tonight, if you would follow me in the law and the scout oath. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And the scout oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. All right, now I do want to add a flag or a pledge of allegiance here. And those of you who don't like this, I guess, can excuse me. I have never liked saluting a flag that I can't see. So I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we can salute a flag if you'd like to, or put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got a lot of voices in the background here. Okay. Can I stop? There we go. I've stopped sharing here in the middle with you. Although it's typical to do this at the end, I want to, way we're going to work this is to keep the chats or the breakout sessions open longer if you want to chat, and there you can keep going. I hate to cut things off, but I don't want to have to break things off, have you come back here for a Scoutmasters minute and a safety minute. But we'll do those right now and put them together. And so, Vaughn, you're still here. This was I shared this last week at our district committee meeting, but some of you haven't heard it, I'm sure. Quite a few years ago, our family was living up in Wyoming, and we were driving up to the from Smoot up to Grover to the council roundtable or the district roundtable. And it was in February, so that this time of year, and we noticed something you don't see very often. And this particular location right next to the highway, the snow was up to the top of the fence, and there were 3 horses in the pasture that was there, and they were walking on top of the snow. If you've ever seen snow hard enough for a horse to stand on it, that's something you don't see very often. And so we went past it and went up to our roundtable there, and they had a guest speaker where that was the annual meeting in February. And the speaker at that meeting was Vaughn Featherstone. Yeah, those of you who are LDS will know who he is. At the time, he was serving as the president of the Logan Temple and had been invited up to our roundtable to talk about scouting. And he gave a great presentation. After we were done, we left Grove and we're headed down to go back home in Smoot. And there was a three cars, ourselves in the back, then another car, and then Vaughn Featherstone and his wife in front. And they drove into a bank of fog. And then the middle car that was in front of us slammed on his brakes. Lights came on and he stopped. And we got out and to see what was going on. And there all over the road was the top of a car, broken pieces of windshield, mirrors, uh, and a mess, but no car. And we were kind of baffled at what in the world happened. We could see an accident happen, but as far as we could see, there was no visible car. And Vaughn Featherstone was driving, went through that fog in and hit two of those horses that walked over the top of the fence and were out on the road. Cut the horse's head in half. He died right there. The other horse was put down when the sheriff got there. And we were still pulling our head out. What happened? Well, come to find out, when Von Featherstone hit that horse, horses, it knocked him out. But he didn't relax. He just went stiff. And you guess where his right foot was? On the accelerator. And down the road he went. I don't know how fast they were going, but very fast. And that it was several miles that his wife was steering while he was unconscious before she got the car stopped. And that was quite an experience for my wife and I. And it makes you think, what is your future? What's going to happen? And don't drive into snowbanks at full speed. Slow down when you go through them. So there's or fog banks. Find a message in there that's applicable to you, your family, and your scouting units, and learn from their example. All right, let's see who is on the agenda next. We wanted to get some council folks here just to say hello and whatever else they're doing, and especially where it's the first of the year, thought that would be appropriate. So on the council website, Brett Sutherland, you are up first, and Alan Endicott is on deck.
Thank you, Jeff. I just my camera's not working tonight, so I apologize for that. But I just wanted to thank everybody for being here tonight. It's so wonderful to see all my great friends, and I'm just couldn't be more excited about 2025 and all of the activities where I get to see you in person. And I'll look forward to that. Please make sure to say hello. But I just want to thank you for the great work of last year and for all of the wonderful things that will be done this year. Thanks for the wave from one of my friends there. But we're going to have a phenomenal 2025, and I don't want to steal any thunder from Jeremy, but we'll go from there. But it's just been very rewarding. I'll let Alan tell you maybe about a few of the successes from last year, and go from there. But have a wonderful evening, and thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do. Alan?
Thanks, Brett. I appreciate all of your good words and the good work that you do. So good to see so many of you. I consider so many of you to be good friends, and it's just terrific to be here and be involved in scouting throughout our great council. A couple of things that have I wanted to highlight for you. Last year we ended with 3.35% growth in membership in the council. That's no insignificant issue. In our territory, about half of the councils grew, which means the other half probably didn't. And a lot of them, their growth was 0.25, 0.67%, and we grew about 3.33%, which is no insignificant amount. And much of the success we've seen in membership is due to the great efforts of many of you. who have helped your units to be able to have a quality program so that people want to join. So thank you for all the good that you do there. I will tell you that if you're wanting to go to camp, you probably should work on signing up, whether it's a Cub Scout day camp or a Boy Scout camp, or if you're wanting to send your children or your grandchildren to EFY, those programs are signing up and filling quickly. Last year, we camped in some fashion or another 28,500 plus participants. That's a big number. It's more than Philmont and the Florida Sea Base combined. And I can tell you that base is filling. So remind your people to sign up, do it soon, so that they can experience one of the great summer adventures that the Crossroads of the West Council offers. The third thing that I'll highlight very quickly is the council started a podcast. Episode 2 just broke, and it's I can see her smiling. Lorna Kosai and a great group of people are highlighted on this podcast with the topic of scouting for food. So Jeremy tells me you can find the podcast at any of the providers you probably like for listening to podcasts, Spotify and many others. Just type in Miles of Impact in the search and you'll find the podcast, and you can enjoy listening to it. We do a new one at least once a month, and it's a great way to learn about things that are going on, or to maybe learn some new programmatic things you hadn't thought about. So take advantage of the podcast. Once again, thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a great scouting month.
All right. Thank you, Alan. And I don't know if you could take 10, 15 seconds, you or Brett, and talk about the new adjustments in area or territory boundaries.
Well, it's not too hard. We were added to the territory 1, so we're in the Pacific Northwest area. We're the farthest council outside of the home base of that one, which is in the Portland, Seattle area, and we're happy to be there.
So, all right, thank you. Yeah, a pretty big territory if you look at what the western boundary is. I think we go all the way to Korea, somewhere like that, if that's correct. All right, Lorna, enlighten us about scouting for food.
I will. Thank you. And thank you, Alan, for talking about the podcast. I'm delighted to be here with you tonight. Some of you know what I'm going to be sharing, others don't. And it shouldn't take too long, but we have a great opportunity coming up in 2.5 weeks with the Scouting for Food Drive 2025. Scouting for Food Drive, the main day of that is February 8th. We hope everyone here on this call will be involved in some way. The need for this food drive is great. And when I work with pantries, I do many things, and helping fight hunger in Davis County schools is one of them. I can tell you more and more people are needing food assistance, and they see that rising as time passes. So by this food drive helps us accomplish feeding the hungry. It also is a great promotion for Scouts. I love it when people walk into a grocery store and they say, "Oh, I didn't know we still had Scouts in Utah." Many of us have heard that, and we are alive and well and growing, as Alan said. So it's a great visual reminder, and it also gives our Scouts an opportunity to serve the community in a wonderful way. So those are some of our objectives with this. Important information for you to know. I've got like 4 or 5 key types of players in this, and everybody has their role. The units, everybody by the end of this week, please have your units assigned to the stores and or the Young Automotive. We'll talk about Young in a minute. and getting bags taken out in their neighborhoods. So unit assignments, we really want every scout to have an opportunity to participate in this. So that's the units. In the stores, we are working in all of the Smith stores in the state. And there are some districts who've made arrangements to work with some other stores, which is fine. But the Smith stores, every Smith store should receive a contact from a scout adult and be thanked and reminded that we will be there on the 8th of February. And we do have the approval letter. I've sent the approval letter out to all of the food drive chairs, so they have that. Then there's the food pantries who are regularly helping people. All the food drive chairs have a list of the food pantries in their area and what stores would be giving food to which food pantries. That's all laid out for you. It's real important that every one of those food pantries gets a communication of some type, either in person or by phone, to make sure they will be ready for the food drive on February 8th. They will need to be taking containers to the stores for the shoppers that the scouts will visit with on the day of the scout drive. And then some of those pantries will pick them up and the National Guard will do others. And that's all spelled out for you. The next group is our neighbors. We have bags that have been made up as we have done in past years. And we're asking every scout unit to have their scouts have the opportunity to take a few. You decide how many bags. We've had requests for more bags from some places, which is great. But we really want them all to have the opportunity to take bags around the neighborhood and go pick those up on the morning of February 8th. And then we have our sponsors. We have tried to simplify the drive this year from past years, so there isn't as much involvement directly with our scouts and the sponsors, but it's important that you know about these places. And if you frequent these places, please thank them. So Arctic Circle is a sponsor, Red Hanger, Bank of Utah, and Young Automotive are 4 sponsors that we have. Also, we have Yesco putting signs up from Logan to St. George. Yesco will be putting signs up about the drive for us. So those are the players. And then main things we need you to get to your units again is the bags. Bags should be distributed amongst their own little neighborhood, not everybody, but their own neighborhood, and picked up on the morning of the 8th. And we prefer that those bags be taken to the pantry, not to the stores. We don't want to fill the containers at the stores with the neighborhood bags if we can avoid that. So please get them to take that. And if groups are going to be at the first shift on a store, get a parent to take them over to the pantry or something. Handouts. You will be getting from your folks little handouts to give to shoppers in the stores. So bags are for the neighborhoods, handouts are for the stores. And those are things that the scouts can give to the shoppers when they ask them to donate something for the food drive when they come in. Also, for the containers in the stores, the scouts will need to make signs. And that's in the Guide for Success that I've sent out. And you'll hear another thing about that in a minute. So they'll need to make signs. So there's bags, handouts, and signs. And then patches, please, if you've not ordered patches for your units, please get on the Scout website and do that so that they can get the patches that have been ordered. They're really nice. And then at the end of this week, a training video will be sent out. A link to that will be sent out. Jeremy at the district office and Josh have helped us put this together. It's done by scouts. We went down to Lehigh and we have 3 brothers who put this training video together that introduces them to the food drive. It gives them some suggestions on how to approach shoppers. I have found that some of our scouts aren't quite in their comfort zone when they're approaching shoppers and asking for a donation. So hopefully this will help them be a little more comfortable and grow in that way. So the training video will be coming out, and please let's get that in front of every group of scouts so that they know what to do and feel involved and more comfortable on that. By the end of this week, we really want all these contacts to be in place. That way we've got time to take care of any glitches or gaps. I want to most of all thank you for your help with this. This is a really important thing, as I said, for the community, but also for our scouts. It's great. I would encourage everyone here on this call to go visit at least one store on that day, if not more. My husband and I love going around visiting the stores and thanking the scouts and talking to them. But please find a way to do that. Take pictures of them, send them into the council, and thank our young people for what they're doing. So I want to thank you. I'm available if you have questions. I'm going to give you my phone number, 801-631-3218. That's my number. I will be available and answering phone calls as if you have questions. Look for the Guide for Success. All the food drive chairs have those, as well as the contacts for the pantries and in the Smith stores. I am working with National Guard for those in Weber County, Davis County, and most of Utah County. I have met with them regularly. I have another meeting with them Thursday, and we will have everything all lined up. They will be starting to come to the stores at 2 o'clock. So please staff your stores from 9 to 2. And then if you can have someone stay till the food is picked up at the stores, that would be wonderful. I think that's it. Thank you for what you do here, but most of all, thank you for what you do for our young people. I love being able to watch you in service and as role models for our young people. When I was director of the Bountiful Food Pantry for several years, I got to work with many Eagle Scouts, and it was great, just wonderful. We have a wonderful program, but we have miles to go before we sleep. So lots of work still to do. I don't know if there's time, Jeffrey, right now for any questions. I'm glad to take them, but I don't want to take more of your meeting, and you all can call me or email me. lornakosai@gmail.com is my email.
All right. Thank you for coming here tonight and for the work you've done that you just mentioned. I know these things don't just happen out of the blue, so I appreciate your help. All right,
My pleasure.
I asked Jeremy to come and tell us about the camping for this year, opportunities for your youth to go to camp, as well as your youth to work at camp, and vacancies and needs that we have to staff our camp. So Jeremy, I assume you're still here?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jeremy. My name is Paul Vernet, and I put a question in the Q&A area pertaining to the scouting for food. Could it be answered, please?
You got
It's
that
regarding the
uploaded?
bags. How and when are we going to get the bags? Since we're like 3 weeks out right now.
Paul, you'll be getting your bags and your handouts from Stacy. She's got those. And so if you go ahead and reach out to her, she can get that for you.
Thank you.
Bet. Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I want to thank Lorna, who was just talking about scouting for food. Lorna is an angel. She puts in hundreds of hours to this, and she's very good. We're lucky to have her on the team. I want to talk to you quickly about the 13 of our 15 camp facilities that we're going to have open this year. This summer, we're going to be offering 5 day camp opportunities for Cub Scout packs. We're also going to be offering 8 weeks of week-long scout camp for folks at Camp Typhy, Camp Hunt, Camp Lowell, and we're throwing in 4 weeks of backcountry treks up on the Teton Crest Trail in Grand Teton National Park. Now, for a Scout Council to have a relationship with the national park, it is rather unique. So we are excited for those opportunities. As Alan said earlier, we've got lots of folks signed up for camp. I'm a numbers guy, so I wanted to share with you guys that we have right now 21,000 folks registered to attend our camps this summer. Now, our goal is 30,000 folks. So if you do your math, that's 68% of our goal. And we're only in, what's today? The 22nd of January. So we're well on our way to hit that. We are excited. As Ellen shared earlier, our campsites are filling up. Our days for day camp are filling up. We're not going to turn anyone away, but I would encourage your pack, your troop, your crew to be looking at those opportunities and jumping on that. Jeffrey also wanted me to talk about camp staff opportunities. Now, as I'm looking out here in the digital audience, I am seeing some of my favorite people, many parents, moms, dads of some of our camp staff members. In fact, some of the people on this call, they work at camp staff as well. So each year we hire about 350 to 375 folks to fill our various camp staff positions. We've got 3-week positions, we've got 8-week positions, and some of our camps even go up to 10 weeks. So if you know someone 14 and older that may be interested in a summer job, send them over to utahscouts.org/camp staff. Again, that's utahscouts.org/camp staff. They can apply online. Our camp directors only have about 60 positions left to fill. So of that 375, only about 60 positions are left to fill. So if you know someone, encourage them to do it quick. Those opportunities go from Memorial Day all the way to the second week of August. Now, I've shared many things with you tonight. I want to share one more opportunity for everyone on this meeting tonight. The council is going to be hosting its very first certified angling instructor training. Now, by the raise of hands or digital thumbs or hands, how many of you like to fish? We've got regular fishing, we've got fly fishing. This is an opportunity for you to get certified as a certified angling instructor by the BSA. It's in March and April, and the trainings are going to be on Zoom. So you can live anywhere in the council and easily access that training. It's only $10, and it's available for youth 15 and up, and of course, any adult. So you can get that information at utahscouts.org/CAI. Again, that's /CAI. I'm going to pass the baton to Cadence Church. I believe she's going to be talking about some of our NYLT courses this summer.
All right, Jeremy, let me change that a little bit and have Jake go first. I'd like to have our 2 youth reps go last so that we can let them have the last word here.
I have some information for the scouting for food and bags. My husband went over to Smith's and asked them for bags, and they gave him a bunch.
This is Doug Kosai, if I can interject on that. We really don't want to be using bags that aren't the bags that are printed with the Scouting for Food logos and so forth on it. Regular Smith's bags won't help people in the neighborhoods understand what the reason for them is. So we're trying to discourage that kind of thing. You know, we're going to get you bags, so you don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
We've got the bags. We've been waiting for the flyers. We've now got those, so we will be getting those out. But you don't need to even think about distributing them until within a week of the food drive. So we will get those to you.
I wanted to update everybody on a couple of things. The membership and unit renewal, we had a page called Scout Pay on our council website. That no longer is there. If you were to click into Scout Pay, it would say this right here. All of the way that National now does unit and member renewals, we need people to do it in their system. And so we've taken away what we used to do, and that was mostly a help during COVID and whatnot. Now that, again, National's doing renewals the way they're doing them, there's no need for how we had it set up. We do have instructions for how you can do renewals and how to set up ACH payments. If you, instead of paying the 3% per transaction, you'd pay $1 if your unit can pay that way. Anyway, there's just some information there that I wanted you to know about, as well as in the membership and unit renewal webpage. It gives you lots of info there if you need help for those that are still working to recharter. And then real quick, wanted to do a shout out for our jerky kickoff. That will be Monday night, 6 p.m. Via Zoom. You can get the information on the council calendar or through the jerky webpage on this website. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jake, and the rest of you. Cadence, have you joined us?
Yes, I am here.
Ah, wonderful. There you are. All right, tell us about NYLT.
Okay. Well, NYLT, for you guys that maybe aren't familiar, is National Youth Leadership Training. This year, I have the opportunity to serve as the youth course lead for our June course, and I'm super excited. But I kind of just want to go into a little depth on what NYLT is and why it's beneficial for, I think, any scout. NLT has like literally been described as the premier leadership development experience, and it's been designed specifically for scouts, um, so that they can start building the skills that they need to work towards their goals and work towards being senior leadership in their troops. My personal experience with NYLT, I started as a participant in 2020, right as it had been introduced into scouting. And it was great. I loved it so much that I came back and staffed, and I've staffed for the past 3 years. And it's just been a great experience every single time. But I can personally attest to the leadership changes that your scouts will go through and their character development that they will see, that you will see when they come home from their summer at NYLT. Um, it's based on servant leadership and the Scout Oath and Law, and it's just a good step towards problem solving skills, team building skills, the servant leadership building within your scout. And I think if you know anybody in your troop, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you help them sign up and get on their journey to NYLT. And if you have attended, I would totally recommend signing up for staffing because you learn so much the second time around too. So if anybody has any questions for me, I'd love to answer them.
All right, thank you very much.
Perfect.
And last year, I addition wanted to invite our lodge chief to come and tell us about the Order of the Arrow in 2025 in our lodge, and makes me think about the wonderful experiences I've had as an OA advisor. It's, I think, the most rewarding experience I've had in scouting. And so, Isaac, if you're still here, let us know what the OA is up to.
Yes, I am still here. Thank you for having me on. Like you said, my name is Isaac Brower, and I have the amazing pleasure of serving as Lodge Chief for the Amadeo Lodge over the course of this year. And really quick, for anyone that doesn't know, the Order of the Arrow is Scouting's National Honor Society. So we recognize honor campers from troops by having them be elected by their fellow troop members with the requirements of being first class and having 15 days and nights of camping. And we will take them through an ordeal and induct them into the Order of the Arrow. And then we focus on, there's 3 principles that we focus on in the Order of the Arrow. It's brotherhood, cheerfulness, and service. So we like to make friends, we like to be happy, and we like to serve people. And it makes for a fun time. Some of the best friends I've ever had are friends that I've made in the Order of the Arrow. And it is just so much fun. Each district in the council has a chapter advisor and chapter chief that run the Order of the Arrow side of the chapters. So, and I know that some of you on here are chapter advisors, but it is very fun, and we have a goal this year to get as many chapter unit elections as we can, which is where we come and we elect people from your unit to become members of the Order of the Arrow. So everyone here should be getting reached out to from a chapter advisor or chapter chief sometime over the next year. And I would ask you to please be receptive to them and have the election so that we can reach our goal of, we want to have 100% elections in our lodge this year. So please help us with this and have an election. Like I said, it is a lot of fun. We do many hours of service to the council over the course of the year. 3 of our biggest events are ordeals, where we spend a weekend. This is our induction weekends. We spend a weekend doing service for camps, and it is so much fun. I fondly remember my ordeal, and it's a formative experience for everyone that ever goes through their ordeal. We have so many types of experiences that we're able to have. Last year, we took 150 members of the lodge to Colorado for National Order of the Arrow Conference, and it was a lot of fun. I was able to go, and yeah, I'm really excited for this year. I'm very grateful for all of you and all the help that you guys provide to our lodge. And I would just like to say again, please help us out by having a unit election. If you have any questions for me, I will put my phone number in the chat so you can reach out to me. And if you have any questions, or if you don't get reached out to by your chapter chief and advisor, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding the Order of the Arrow or unit elections.
All right, Isaac, we'll assume he can do the chat. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it and wanted to give you a little bit of time in the spotlight as well as Cadence. So appreciate you very much. All right, we'll move into our breakout sessions, and we're glad to.
I really am glad that all of you have joined, and we may have more, I don't know, and that, but we need to get at least started so that we know, I've only got a limited amount of time to try and get through a whole bunch of new stuff. In case any of you are aware, or not aware, the Guide to Advancement, Section 10, is our marching orders and our rules and regulations as far as anything we do with special needs and disabilities. In the 2025 version, it was a complete new rewrite. Okay? Now, some of the things are still the same. There are other things that are different there, and I'll try and hit the highlights. I'm in hopes that we can arrange some additional training sessions so that we can take and go into depth and detail with the changes that National has put into the write-up there, but we need to move, and so I'm going to move fairly quickly. If you have questions, please put them into the chat. After I get through, I will go through in the chat, and if you have questions, I promise you I will get back to you so that we can get the questions that you have. I'm going to take and share with you a PowerPoint screen that I have attempted to put together the major points that we need to all be aware of when it comes to working with individuals who have disabilities. Every scout troop, every cub pack, every venturing crew has the potential of having someone who has a disability. Unfortunately, we are still seeing some situations where unit leaders are saying, I'm sorry, but you can't join scouting because of your disability. Well, Scouts has an inclusion process, and since 1910, they have allowed Scouts with disabilities to join scouting. And so if any of you hear of anyone who is interested in that, or if you hear of anyone that a unit is hesitant to allow them to join, I can promise you it's probably one of the best things that can happen to the unit when it comes to teaching being friendly and courteous and kind and the law parts of the scout law. So let me take, and I'm going to click on my screen here. We'll just move ahead as quickly as we can, when it comes to working on it. All right, so as we look at it, your first clue that there is a question coming about a special need or a disability is the unit leader will make the statement, I have a scout who. Whatever follows indicates that is different from a normal scout, and he may or may not be identified as having a disability or even perceived to be different. There are helps available for anyone who asks the question, I have a scout who? Can a scout benefit from the scouting program if they have a disability? Absolutely. Of all of the programs that are available nationally, scouting is probably the best for those with attention deficit, those with learning disabilities, those with autism, those who are visually impaired and blind, those who are hearing impaired, emotionally disturbed. The hands-on side is there for every scout, not just the normal ones. So every scout's an individual. No two are the same. And there is ability in every disability. Okay, so tonight as we go through, we're going to look at the requirements necessary to register a scout who has a disability. This includes alternate rank requirements, as well as alternate merit badges that's available, and how to be able to access those if the disability is severe enough there, and it's called registration beyond age of eligibility, and we'll go into that in some detail. We also will go through the helps and resources that's available to every one of you, as well as anyone else in the council here as far as helping them. Then I'm going to show you a real example of what's required to be a leader, to be aware of scouts with disabilities. So some of the helps available. Our first resource is the Guide to Advancement. The website, Utah Scouts /resources/disability awareness. There, Able Scouts, which is a national special needs site, but they have a resource that is fabulous for any scout leader or cub leader to be able to work with and scout, or any scouts who have problems. That includes the inclusion toolbox, and I'll go into details on it. The Ability Digest is the special needs newsletter. They've archived all of the past editions of that there, as well as giving helps and release. And as the committee council, I'm willing and able to travel throughout the council if necessary to help meet your needs. So let's look at the Guide to Advancement. And that this is a rewrite. It has made some changes. Some things are still required. Some of those have been modified. When it comes to advancement and your Cub Scouts, the standard is do your best. And that applies only to the Cub Scout program. The den leaders and the parents, you're able to make the decisions that's best for the Cub Scout. Okay, so that any of the requirements that's there, work with the parent, work with your different den leaders. There, you can make the decisions, you can modify the requirements, you can have any kind of accommodations there that you want, but that's the standard for the Cub Scouts. When it comes to the scouting program itself, the Scouts must meet all of the requirements as written, no more and no less. Okay? In other words, there are no modifications. And I'll show you a slide here in a minute that talks about what a modification is. Accommodations are acceptable there. In other words, an accommodation is meeting the requirements the way the scout with disabilities meets them. For example, a normal scout and it says take a hike, that means they can walk. A scout with a disability who's tied to a wheelchair, the wheelchair is his mode of transportation. And an accommodation is he can complete all of the hiking in a wheelchair. Now, when you look at some of them, it says you have to do it a certain amount of time. Well, again, an accommodation may be you want him to do no more or no less than what another scout is doing. And so it may be that he's going around a city park on cement sidewalks for, an equivalent time or an equivalent amount as his strength and endurance allows. And if we have to break it up in multiple days, we can make that as an accommodation, but he still has to complete the requirement for the hiking. If he uses crutches, if he uses safety vests, if he needs to use a floating device there for the swimming, those are accommodations. Okay, we need to think outside the box. All too often we get stuck with a hike means going up mountains over various terrains and that sort of thing, but really there's no place that says it has to be a mountain hike. I mean, that's a perception that's there. Alternate approvals with the permission of the state, the council, Special Needs and Disability Committee can take place and should. We need to recognize that everyone, even those with severe disabilities, have abilities. Scouting program is please do not dumb down the requirements just because there's a disability. The scouts will amaze you and surprise you at what they can accomplish and what they can do when it comes to things. Don't let your perception of the disability limit an individual with disabilities. All right, one of the tools that's available is what they call the Scout Advancement Plan. Okay, this is a form. It's not required but it helps with the communication as a guide for the scout, the leader, the parents, and the scout leaders themselves. One of the biggest problems, and where I run into most of the problems that I face on the council, is where the parents have expectations, where the scout leader has expectations, and neither of them have talked to each other. The parent assumes that the scoutmaster can be able to take care of the issues that the scout with disability has. This form is basically a guide, and it builds confidence both of the parents in the scouting program and confidence of the scout leader in being able to work with the scout with disabilities. And it puts everybody on the same page because no two scouts with disabilities are the same. They're all different there. Looking at accommodations and modifications. This is one of the new things that got put into the Guide to Advancement on page 87, I think it is. There, an accommodation. This changes how the scouts are learning. Now, compared to a modification, it changes what the scouts are learning. For example, offering extra time, taking the swim test at a quieter time of the day, hearing aids, augmentative and alternative communication devices. Those kind of things are the way the scout is able to accomplish the task. A modification would be saying, well, you can do the pioneering merit badge instead of the camping merit badge. And that, which is a modification unless RABE has been approved, which is registration beyond age of eligibility. The biggest problem that I see is if you get started on a merit badge and the scout finds out that he can't meet all of the requirements as written, no more, no less. Okay, then the unit leader says, or the merit badge counselor says, well, let's eliminate that requirement. By eliminating it, you have modified the merit badge, and that is not allowed in scouting. Do not have the scout start a merit badge unless he can complete it. Because if you do, you're asking the scout to do more than any other scout. Because you're asking them to not only do what they've done on the merit badge and then can't complete it, but then you're asking for an alternative merit badge. And so they have to start over on another merit badge there. So use the plan right up front, look at the requirements, see what they can do and what they can't do, and make some recommendations. And we'll talk about how you do that to get RABE approved. Who can approve it? An accommodation, the unit level is a decision of the Cub Master, the Scout Master, or the Merit Badge Counselor. Now, when we say do it the way the scout can do it, a scout who is blind can pass the Astronomy Merit Badge. Now, think about that one for just a few minutes, because what is one of the major requirements? They have to identify constellations, right? Well, how can a blind person identify constellations? Well, the way the National Committee, one of their excellent examples is the merit badge counselor takes paper plates, punches holes for the constellations in the paper plates. At nighttime, they take the scout outside. They hold the paper plate in the position of the constellation, have him feel with his fingers, and he can tell you where the constellation is. That is an accommodation. For the shooting merit badges, if you need to tie a bell to the target so that when he hits the target, the bell rings. If you need to use a gun tree, there's no reason why you can't use a gun tree to pass that requirement off. That's an accommodation. But to take and say that no, he can't do it, so he can't complete the badge, you need to think outside the box. As far as documentation required for an accommodation, there is none. That's basically the decision of the local unit. However, a modification for any individual scout rank or alternative merit badges, then they have to go through the application for the scout to be registered as a scout with disabilities. Alternate rank requirements, when you start looking at them, they're only good through first class, because anything above first class deals with merit badges and leadership requirements. And that, so the scoutmaster and the troop committee visit with the scout and the parents. Here again, this individual scout advancement plan becomes crucial. There, look at realistic requirements before the scout starts working on them. Then, this is new. You recommend those requirements to your district advancement chairman and committee to approve the alternate rank requirements. Every district advancement committee has been asked to have a disability specialist as part of their committee, and that there to help take care of this issue of the alternate rank requirements. Once the district, the thing they need to look at is make sure it's as equally challenging for the scout with disabilities as the regular requirement would be for a normal scout. Okay. That is for some scouts with disabilities. If you look ahead to the Eagle Project, for some of them to get 3 people involved in helping them accomplish their project, it would be the equivalent of a regular scout being able to get 30 people involved in their project. That's what I mean by equally challenging. The District Advancement Committee sends a written request to the Special Needs and Disability Committee. There, just so we're informed as to what, the request is basically, if the disability is severe, please fill out the application for registration beyond age of eligibility. Then we can go ahead and modify a lot of the rank requirements. There. Once approved, written permission will be given from the Special Needs Disability Committee to allow the scout to use alternate requirements in place of a regular requirement. Now, the registration beyond age of eligibility, there are 6 items that we have to have in order to register a scout with a disability. A letter from the parent guardian, a youth application, a youth annual health and medical record, a signed professional from a professional indicating the disability, severity, etc. This can be from a physician, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a clinical social worker, a school administrator, as far as the documentation. A letter from the unit leader indicating that they support his registration, and then any supporting documentation. Okay, the Guide to Advancement states that the Council Advancement Committee is responsible for these decisions unless they have delegated it to another group. In the Crossroads of the West Council, the Executive Board has charged the Special Needs Disability Awareness Committee with the responsibility of making the special need decisions in the council. Okay. Criteria, this changed considerably. Now they start off with every case must be considered individually. If members are able to take advantage of the flexibility built into the scouting advancement and participate in essentially the same way as typical youth, they must not be registered as beyond age of eligibility. You can register a scout who has severe disabilities anytime during his career in scouting. You can even register Cub Scouts if you want. Once they're registered, that code is embedded into their membership. And they can continue to work as long as they need to in accomplishing any of the requirements. A candidate eligible for registration functions socially and intellectually at a level clearly lower than their age level. There are any number of conditions that can result in that functioning. It can be a combination of things. In other words, a scout with autism could also show some learning disability tendencies, could also show some attention deficit characteristics. They could also be on medications. When you combine all of them, if it equals a severe enough disability, then they can qualify for registration beyond eligibility. Okay, there. The thing to keep in mind, they don't have any formal requirements that when we go to register them with the council, our registrars they have to put them into the following categories: developmental delay, Developmental is basically our Down syndrome type. Emotional, this is the behavioral kids. Deaf, hard of hearing, learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, blind, low vision, multiple disabilities, and there's one, autism is also one of them that I need to add to that list as far as how the registrar has to enter them into the system. The council special needs disability committee will determine which of these categories it is that the scout would be registered in. Okay. Now, this is the registration form. There's the 6 requirements that are necessary. Just attach all the other documents so that we have all 6 of them before I call a council committee to go through the registration. Like I said, any age a scout can be registered as a scout with disabilities. Once they reach close to their 18th birthday, then they need to take, and we need to make sure this is filled in if they're going to continue beyond age 18. This is needed for alternate merit badges and after 18 for them to continue there. One of the things, once they turn 18, the district advancement committees and the council advancement committee basically is not responsible for those over 18 in the regular scouting program. The council has charged us with all Eagle boards of review and projects. They need to come through the Disability Awareness Committee. Okay. Alternate merit badges. You need to complete the form. This is a picture of the form. There, send it to the council special needs committee so that we can look at it. You need, as a unit leader, you need to choose an alternate merit badge that would be as equally challenging. Once approved, you must keep all of the copies of this application in your local unit because they must accompany the Eagle application to national. And the approval for an alternate merit badge must occur before the scout starts the new alternate merit badge. In other words, we can't go back and because he completed one a year ago, that cannot be substituted because he's already earned it rather than earning it as an alternate. At the bottom of this form, you will see a list that says possible alternatives for the required merit badges. And underneath each of the, or some of the major ones that are there, it lists other merit badges who could possibly, or that could possibly fill in as an alternate for that badge. Keep in mind, this is only a suggested list. It is not a all-inclusive, and it is not a list that you must follow. If there is a merit badge that is not listed that would be as equally challenging for any of the required badges, you as a unit can submit the request on the alternate form for that badge, and the committee will look at the decisions and move ahead appropriately. The next resource that's available to you is the council website there, which if you go to the resources tab, once you're in the resources tab, you see this page. If you go to the disability awareness resources, on that link, it will take you to this page, the guide to advancement. So you don't have to buy a copy of it. You can find section 10 Right there, it's the latest edition. It's linked to the national site. There's where you can find the guide to advancement. The Abilities Digest. This is past newsletters. There, the Inclusion Toolbox. This is a tool for all Scout leaders. And I'll show you in a few minutes why. The required forms, if you want the individual Scout advancement plan, there's where you can find it on the website. The required forms for alternate merit badge, registration beyond age of ability, or alternate rank advancements, they're right there. If a Scout is over age 18, complete youth protection training. They must go through a background check. They must complete all of the things. Oh dear. Now I've got to speed things up. The last link is tips and strategies. This talks about the disabilities for special needs, the characteristics of the disabilities, the benefits for scouting, Cub leader helps, and the last column is parents and Scout leader helps. Able Scouts, the Inclusion Toolbox. The part that's important to all of them is for a regular Scoutmaster who has a potential Scout. Basics of scouting for special needs, their perspective, the unit leader's role for supporting the disability. You can't see it, but there's a parent role of supporting it because it's underneath the main tab. There, different types of disabilities. Every unit leader needs to understand allergies and food issues, anxiety, depression, and mental issues, anxiety and hyperactivity. The next is individual disability characteristics. There. And the last part has to do with camping, water, waterfront, guns, handicrafts, and those things. That's all included in the Inclusion Toolbox. I'm going to skip the video. It's a young man who has cerebral palsy that that manages to get his Eagle Scout Award. He played on a Cub Scout softball team there, and he was in his wheelchair, but his dad pushed him around the bases. And he basically comes back and says it's the leaders that make it happen. Everyone has some ability, and there is ability in every disability. This is Unit 1421's troop shirt. They're born to stand out, and there's ability in every disability. They have participated as regular Scouts would in flag ceremonies, in parades, in service projects, working with the VFW, placing flags at the cemetery, helping the Gold Foundation with the marathons by passing out water to the patrons or to the runners as they accomplish it. The last thing is, if you have any questions, there's my phone number, there's my email. Please contact me. If you can't remember that, you can call the council office and the service desk. They'll give you the above information and they'll help you remember it. Wow, that's a marathon. There. Okay. Looking at the questions. International, the flickering, I apologize. I don't know why it's doing it. I bought a brand new copy of Zoom, but it's, there. How does an adult leader know when a Scout qualifies and or needs this exemption? Okay, that will probably be defined basically by how the scout is performing. Usually, if the parent is honest with the situation, they will take and they will be able to tell you that the scout is this far behind. You'll know if they can't read. Your first clue that they can't read is if you're having everyone in the troop read a paragraph. Okay, the person, two people before the scout is asked to read his paragraph, he is going to do something that behaviorally will force you to kick him out of the group or force him to go to the corner or do something so he doesn't have to read. That is a learned trait that learning disabilities scouts or anyone else uses because they can't read. Well, if you see that happening, and the kid is normally a fairly, level-headed kid, and all of a sudden he's throwing out all kinds of fits, look at how far ahead he was asked to read. If a scout can't read, they will take and they will usually either get up and walk away. There's any number of strategies they use. If the scout is autistic, I promise you will know it, especially if he has elopement issues, where he's there looking at you in the face 1 minute and 2 minutes later, he's a half a mile away. Attention deficit situations. Some kids have to be moving to be able to learn. Well, if you have someone who's ADD, don't ask them to sit there with their arms folded while you work with them. Let them get up and let them move. Ask them what's going on. They can tell you everything that you have taught them, even though they're walking back and forth, walking in circles, moving around the room. That's just, they got to move. And that part of understanding them. Okay, well, I'm going to stop sharing. Any of you have any other things you'd like to bring up? I've gone gun ho, and I apologize for that, but any questions or concerns? Well, if not, I'll take and, I had my phone number, I had my email. Please contact me because we can help. And that I've spent time working with all the scouts all the way from Hurricane to Preston, Idaho. There, and more than willing to help any scouts that may have issues, that we can help them so they can succeed. Thank you for being here. There, we will see all of you around, probably at Commissioner College. I'm trying to work some things out there so that we can go into a little bit more depth and not quite as fast as I went tonight. That